Ahead of the Portuguese Grand Prix, I had the opportunity to sit down with Michael Italiano, F1 performance coach for Daniel Ricciardo. If you don't know who Michael is or his background, he has been working with Daniel for the past few years, having gone from Red Bull to Renault and now McLaren. But as for the rest of it, I'm gonna leave it up to Michael to explain his background and the different intricacies of his role. We hope that you enjoy this interview just as much as I did, and without further ado, let's get into it. How has the season been for you so far? Already 2 races done, a lot to go. How has it been treating you?
So it's been a really good start. Team sitting third, so we're happy. Me and DR, it's the transition's been nice and smooth so far. So yeah, we're looking forward to the season ahead.
How has it been having to transition from one team to the other? You've obviously had to do this a couple of times, so I'm curious to find out what it is like specifically for you and if it impacts your role in any way.
Yeah, I think the transition is definitely easier for me than Daniel. Daniel's actually got to drive a different car, but come race weekend, there's no different. You're racing to compete, and you're just wearing a different uniform. But yeah, there are a few things different on I guess how each team operates. The most important thing is remembering names. It's such a big team, so I'm terrible at remembering names. So changing 3 teams has really helped me learn some quick ways to remember names. So if you have any tips, fire away.
You're only 2 races in, you'll get there.
Yeah, probably not what you thought you were going to hear.
You've obviously been working around the F1 paddock for several years now. For those who don't know, you initially thought you would have more of a background in architecture, and you have several years of experience in also civil engineering. And you said that you had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and that really kind of struck a chord with you. And you decided that, you know what, I want to actually pursue something I'm way more passionate about. So what were the first steps that you took towards shifting your life and career towards a more fitness-based journey?
The first thing I did, I thought to myself, how do I make this work? Because going from a job that paid a safe 40 hours a week wage to walking into a gym with no clients, I couldn't just do the transition of making money to making no money. So what I did was I thought, okay, well, let's see if there's any online courses that I can study. So that way I can study outside of work hours. So that way I've still got an income, and I'm obviously slowly pursuing that goal that I want. So I did that, and luckily enough, I could do some online stuff, and then go in on the weekends to do some more physical stuff. So I was pretty much working 7 days a week for a long time. So usually I'd start around 6:30 to 7 a.m. in the office. So I decided to start at around 8:39 and finish at 5. And then what that did for me, I was able to get to the gym at 6:30, train 3 or 4 clients, and then drive straight to my job and do that for 8 hours. And then by 5 o'clock, I'd be back at the gym training clients till 8. So I did that for a long time until I was like, okay, now I have some more clients coming in and I've got 0 spots left. I need to make the jump. I've mentioned it before, like if you want something to work, if you want it bad enough, you'll do what it takes.
I'm also curious to kind of hear, you've trained a wide variety of clients. You've obviously done all the background requirements needed. But going into F1, considering it's such a niche sport and the drivers have very specific physical needs, how did you then adapt and focus your programs around, handling G-force and for those tough races like at Singapore? How do you adapt in order to fit those specific requirements?
Yeah, adapt's a good word, because I did have to adapt. I didn't have much knowledge regarding Formula One. Obviously, I knew the sport and I watched the sport, but training Daniel, was something that I had to learn. So 2018 was a big learning curve. So a lot of reading of books, which is to answer part of your question, and also being just a big sponge. And what I mean by that is just every time I was at the racetrack, I was just absorbing everything in. So what because Daniel was he was coming into his senior years as I came on as a coach. So he had his ways and he had things that worked for him. So when I came in, I said to him, look, I don't know everything. I'm not confident enough to all of a sudden just start implementing my coaching style just yet. Let's do this season and I'll let you take the lead. And what I meant by that is you've obviously got a set plan and how you like to prepare for a race, how you like to prepare for qualifying. exercises and sessions you like to do, because I think at that time he'd been in the sport for 7 years. So, he knew what he was doing. Come 2019, we sat down and I said, right, this is what you do. These are the couple little things I want to start implementing because of X, Y, Z. So we did that. And then even at the start of last year, again, I was like, okay, now I want to make even more tweaks. So we have. So looking back on what we're doing now compared to 2018, it's very different. But I think that was probably the sensible approach. And I'm glad we did it that way, because at least I know now we're definitely moving in the right direction.
And I was going to say, I'm sure you also had to adapt, especially last year, and having so many of the races so compact together. Was it even more of an adjustment to have to prepare for triple headers?
It was. I'm quite OCD when it comes to organization and preparing. So I like to periodize Daniel's training for the entire calendar if I could. However, last year all the races got cancelled. Races weren't getting released until a month to go. So I couldn't plan anything. It was literally it was like a spontaneous year where you just wait for the news and then, oh, wow, okay, we're heading to Turkey in 2 weeks' time. Okay. And then bang, I'm on it. So I had to be very flexible last year and just be on it. And, we learned a lot last year, and it's been quite good for this year, because obviously last year we kind of knew what to prepare for now.
And you also really emphasize the importance of sleep and recovery, which I'm sure in a year, and now probably going into this year again with a lot of unpredictability, how do you ensure that Daniel is achieving the proper amount of rest for each race?
It's a good question. And sleep has just been, it's a big highlight of wellness, I guess you could call it, in the last 1 or 2 years. It's a real big popular subject. Every morning, literally the first thing that I do with Daniel is, how'd you sleep? It's literally, if you look in our WhatsApp group, our WhatsApp chat, every morning is, hey mate, how'd you sleep? As long as he's getting eight hours a night, he can perform pretty good. I think Daniel definitely needs a lot more sleep than most, because his brain's going 100 miles an hour. He's lived such a busy schedule. He needs a lot of rest. So I monitor it that way based on how many hours he tells me, and then obviously how he's feeling. And if I think that he needs a little bit more sleep, that's when I'll be like, oh, by the way, let's get a couple power naps in this, tomorrow or the next day. And he's like, yep, cool. So just a bit of a reminder, but he's pretty good like that. He understands, he listens to his body. I think that comes with age as well, and experience, knowing how to listen to your body and knowing what your body needs. I'm obviously there as an extra accountability, but he's quite aware.
And then I also want to touch a bit on the mental aspect of the preparation side, because obviously you guys work so hard in terms of physical fitness and making sure that all the boxes are ticked on that end. But how do you approach, say, a weekend where you've prepared in every single way you can, you feel good ahead of the race, and then the car gets taken out in the very first corner? How do you prepare for those frustrations that are out of the driver's control?
If we do have a disappointing race, whether it's because of his drive or, as you said, out of our control, and the car breaks down, or he has a crash, I give him 24 hours to vent and to show his frustration, which I think is fine. These guys are competitors; they want to win, right? I think frustrations and disappointments is part of sport. You have to accept it, and so there's no point ignoring it. So I let him have his 24 hours, and then after that, it's like, okay, next focus on the next race, because it's a new opportunity.
And can you tell us a bit about maybe an aspect of your role that most people would not know about or would not anticipate that is part of the day-to-day routine?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, there's so much that's televised now, especially because of Netflix Drive to Survive. You've pretty much seen everything. But I guess there's one thing, probably the travel schedule. People see 22 races, and it may not look like a lot on paper for a whole year, but I think the traveling aspect, I think is something that people probably don't necessarily see, how much we actually travel and how much it actually takes a toll on you over the year. You can't really explain it until you actually go through it. Coming into race 18, 19, you're pretty spent, I won't lie. And you can see it. You can see it in the staff. It's almost like it's a bit of a grind trying to get out those last 3 races. Not because we don't love where they are, they're amazing races, but just from a physicality point of view and a mental point of view.
And that's also something I want to touch on because you've also said in the past that when you were first entering F1, you struggled a bit with that adjustment to the constantly being away. So what was the process on your end to kind of overcome that and learn to deal with a completely new lifestyle?
I'm hoping I'm not alone with this one, but yeah, I literally struggled with alone time because I had this routine in life in Perth where I didn't have much alone time, and it's because I didn't want it. I was quite extroverted, so I always wanted to be out and to doing things. So how I dealt with it, I knew I wasn't happy and I knew I was struggling with my alone time, so I knew I had to do something about it. Simple as that. So I always used to read, but probably not as much as what I could have. So started reading a lot, and then I decided to start a master's degree. So I went back to university and did a master's degree online in sports management, business and policy. That kept me busy for the last 2 years. I finished that. So I'm trying to figure out something else to do. But no, my business now has kept me very, very busy. So,
and I do want to touch on your business, but one little question before that is, how was it suddenly having Netflix around all the time and then dealing with the social media attention that has come from it ever since?
Yeah, look, I won't lie. I am still a little bit uncomfortable with it because I'm not used to it. Daniel's used to having the cameras around him. Being quite new to the role at the time when Netflix came in, for me, it was just another distraction that I didn't really want. I just wanted to focus on my role and becoming a really good performance coach for Daniel. But like anything in life, the more you experience something, the more you get better at it, the more you get comfortable with it. So I got used to them now being a fly on the wall, and most of the crew are the same. So you start to build a bit of a friendship and a bond with them. So that then automatically gives you a bit of a comfort zone when they're around, that they're good people and they're not trying to get some bad stuff of you.
It's been interesting as well seeing you start your own online platform for your fitness programs, because I think one thing that has been so different about it is that you have programs available for people of all different skill levels and levels of fitness. So what prompted you to want to build this, and what are the ways that you've consistently been adding to it ever since?
The main motivation goes back to when I first started as a coach, and it's just knowing that you can have such an amazing impact on someone's life by helping them with their health and fitness it's priceless. And I really do mean that. Like, I think if you're a coach out there listening to this, or a personal trainer, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So that was the main motivation, trying to get that back, because, I only had one client, which is Daniel, which is amazing, of course, but I feel like I could give more. And knowing that, there's such a big online presence now in the fitness industry, I thought this was an opportunity that I could take. And also, I defined my level of success. So I'm a big believer that everyone should define their version of success. And my version of success is knowing that I can be anywhere in the world with my business in the palm of my hands. I don't have to be in an office. I don't have to be in a particular place all the time. Having this job and seeing the world has kind of like given me that opportunity where I'm like, wow, I do want to travel more and live in other places. And how am I going to do that? Well, I think having an online business, gives me that success and gives me that freedom. So that's another motivation for me to start this online business.
And you've also said that you are hoping to take on more clients virtually as well. So what aspect of that new side of the business venture is most exciting to you?
It'll help me improve as a coach. I mean, like no matter how qualified you are, how experienced you are, you will always learn something new. No matter what, you will always keep learning. So that's what I'm most excited about. And we launched that aspect of the business next week, which is really exciting. So I've just started taking on more professional athletes, which has been really nice. So I've taken on a few there, and I'm going to start virtually coaching a wider community as of next week, which is pretty cool.
And do you think something like an apprenticeship program or some sort of mentor partnership would ever be something that you would eventually delve into as well?
I think so. I mean, when I first started, I hired an apprentice because I was too busy to cope for the load. So I hired an apprentice and, as you said, became a bit of a mentor to him and built him up. So, it's probably not on the radar just yet. There's still a lot of things within the business that I need to get right and get flowing before I look into that. But yes, 100% open to that, yeah.
And a bit more of a fun question on this side. Since you grew up playing so many sports, is there any that you haven't done yet that you're really itching to try?
Oh, this is embarrassing, but there's one sport that comes to mind, and it's embarrassing because I come from Australia. I've never ever tried surfing, and being Australian, I love the beach. I've actually never even attempted surfing. So that is one sport I'm curious about to see how I'd go.
My last one for you today is, what piece of advice would you give to anyone that is searching to start their fitness journey, either as someone looking to become healthier or someone who wants to get into the same career path as you?
I'd say go for it. I think it's an extremely rewarding business. You can be a very, very successful coach as long as you care. And I know that sounds so cliche, but there is a big difference between just doing your job or actually caring for your clients and going the extra mile for whatever it takes to helping them achieve what they want to achieve. That's something that I prided myself on when I started. I promised myself I would go the extra mile for my clients, and I can honestly say I did that, and that kind of shaped the direction of my coaching career from there.
I'd like to thank Michael again for featuring on our channel and taking time out of his busy schedule to talk with us. You can find all the links to his social medias down in the description below, and make sure to check out his personal training programs. As we continue this series of interviews to take a deep dive into the various roles in F1, we want to hear from you. Who would you like us to bring on our channel? What type of roles would you like to get more insight for? As usual, make sure to like this video, subscribe to us if you haven't already, and comment down below who else you would like us to interview on this channel.